Hello, babe. I'm so excited to share this information with you. Holy shit. I have the 3 secret advantages that women have in leadership positions that we're not actually taking advantage of. Yeah, isn't that crazy? We need all the boost that we can get so that people in positions of authority and power and influence start to look more like us. And the issue is, we're trying to play their game. The problem with that is, we are not men. We are not masculine oriented people. If you're a woman who is very masculine oriented like I am, you're going to naturally feel that in order to do things really, really well, you do need to fit that mold, and you do need to use the advantage of being able to tune into the masculine energy and presence with so much of what you already bring to the table. However, there is something else that you have that is so much cooler, so much more powerful, that it's going to blow your fucking mind. 3 things. We're going to start with number 3, and that is, which is totally makes sense that it's the third, because 2's company, 3's a crowd. 3 is our advantage of being a part of a natural community. We invite each other to the bathroom together. We are always inviting each other over to get ready before we go out somewhere. We have this, go with the group mentality, and not just because it's unsafe on the streets for us to be by ourselves, which is no laughing matter, but it's funny because it's true. We also have this natural sense for taking care of other people and making sure that their needs are met, and that our needs are met through the ease of relying on and feeling supported by other people. When we don't use this advantage, we feel like we're up against the odds by ourselves. It's lonely at the top because we're the only women who are in positions of leadership that we can see, so we feel like we're the only ones who are there, and we tend to feel like we take on more and we become overwhelmed and overcommitted because we're like, I need to keep my game up if I'm going to keep my position here in this, area of power that I have a little grasp of. And that shit's totally false. That shit is totally unnecessary. You have people around you who you know are going, if you say, I need somebody to go to the bathroom with me, even if they don't have to go, they'll still go with you, right? You do the same for them. It's the same shit with every other area of your life, whether it's leading powerfully in your group of friends who need somebody to say, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing, let's just make a final call. It's also, it kind of, spills into the first advantage that I'm going to tell you all about at the end, but kind of spills into that a little bit. But it's kind of like we have the ability to read the energies and recognize what people need in a group, and that puts us in a position of power, in a position of influence, which is what leadership actually is. You don't need a title of authority to be a leader. You just need to be the one in the moment who takes action. And I see so many women doing that, and at the same time leaving their community behind, or leaving behind opportunities for bringing others with them, because we've been trained to think that, we're in competition with everybody around us, and that if we bring other people into our space, they're going to start taking credit for the things that we do. And it's like, if you're afraid of other people shining just like you're trying to shine, then you're probably going to dim your own shine with that energy. You know, whenever you feel like, I don't want other people to shine because it's going to hurt my shine, that really dims your own shine because you're not coming from a space of empowerment and recognizing, like, nobody can do what I do. Even if this other person says that they can do what I do, they can't do it the way that I do it. So being afraid of taking your community with you is one way that you're shooting yourself in the foot. You have an advantage. As a woman or as a female identifying person, you have an advantage of your sisterhood really being there to support your success as well as be the shoulder for you to cry on during your struggles. Simple as that. Which leads into our second advantage, which is also totally perfect because there are kind of like two dualities that we experience naturally. As if you have a uterus, this is specifically for you. As people with uteruses, we experience a natural impulse toward one area of a cycle or another. We naturally experience the ebbs and the flows of cosmic energy through the changes that our bodies experience. So we have this naturally destructive cycle that helps ease us into, I mean, it depends on how you feel about your period, but it encourages our energies to tend toward restfulness, rejuvenation, and basically feeling more tired because we need to give ourselves and our bodies and our spirits and our emotional energies space away from others and time to ourselves and to just let everything else go, because when we do that, we come back better than ever. We come back stronger than ever. We come back more attuned to our purpose and our passions than ever. And the other thing that that space does for us is it allows us to emotionally purge. It allows us to take all the things that have been building up and creating gunk, kind of like, you know, the lining of our uterus is building up and building up and building up over time as we, you know, start ovulating. And then after that, you know, we've got all of this buildup of stuff that we haven't used, and that usually takes the form of our emotional energy when that starts to be destroyed and exits and releases from our body. So we have this natural point of restoration from not only our physical energy, but our emotional and our spiritual energy, as well as the other end of the scale, which is our ovulation. It's a point where we are sensual, we feel more in our senses, so that makes us more sensitive to not only what's going on around us, but what our bodies need, what other people need. It's kind of like if you've ever watched Lucifer, our ovulation cycle is that point where we could like look at somebody in the eyes and without really even asking them, just asking their energy, we could be like, what do you really desire? And pick up on that. You know, we have this like extreme sexual energy that translates into sensitivity as well as horniness. And being horny can be such an advantage, such a fucking advantage, because it puts you in this heightened state of like I said, sensuality and sensitivity, but also it puts you in this mode where you want to exert physical energy with other people, you know, whereas during your period, you're like, I don't want to be around people. During your ovulation cycle, you're like, I want to connect with more people. I want to interact. I want to engage. And if you feel empowered in that space, you get a lot out of it. You make more connections and you network more during that time. So we have these two advantages of our community and of our cycles, our connection with the cycles, that allow us to use our natural impulses to their advantage. Plus, I forgot to say, when you're horny, you have a lot of sex, and that expels energy, and it's a stress reliever. Sex is a stress reliever. So if you feel that energy, ooh, let it go, let it flow. Our first advantage that we have that is big and that encompasses all these other two things, I'm going to share as a bonus right now for my Patreon people. And that is the advantage of having a tapped in intuition. We have more, like I said, we have more intuitive resonance with different areas of our cycle and different energies that we're feeling at different times. And that is so powerful in conjunction with, like, you know, talking with our community and being like, girl, are you experiencing this lately? Because this is crazy for me. And like, yeah, I love talking about this because now I know that I'm not alone and that other people are going through it too. That sense of communication through community. But in order to do that, you have to have the intuitive instinct to recognize, like, this is a good person to talk to about this, or this is the right person to talk with about this. Because, you know, we've always all had those moments where we heard something on the radio and it triggered a thought and we were like, I haven't thought about that in a while. And all of a sudden we end up on a date with somebody who talks about it, or at a family gathering where all of a sudden our aunt is like, hey, did you remember this? And you're like, I just thought about this the other day. We start to tap into things that are beyond our capabilities as far as logic and rationality and reasoning is concerned. And where that blocks us is when we try to come from that masculine, like, male-oriented version of success and leadership that says we need to consider all factors and then we need to come to the right conclusion for, you know, the situation at hand. What is not processed in that moment is the unknown. Because whenever you plan something or you're trying to execute a big project or you're trying to get everybody together to face one thing together or go toward one goal, or, you know, even if it's just being the leader of the next vacation and you're the one who's planning everything, that puts you in a position of leadership, influence, and power. And whenever you're in any of those situations, you can plan your ass off. You can think about everything before it even happens. But there are just some things that you cannot understand why on paper, you know, the vacation house that you're looking at, you've got two choices, and one that looks good on paper is not the one that you're leaning toward. You're leaning toward another one, and you just don't know why. It's the smaller one, it's the whatever, it's further from what. There's some disadvantage, but rationally, even though you wouldn't pick it, intuitively, you know that there's something about it that makes it right. And that's something that you can't get outside of intuition. That's something that you can't get without actually knowing that there are some things that you can't know. Women have more connections to that space simply because we have been tuned into the ancestral knowledge more clearly than our masculine counterparts through the mystery of the divine feminine. When you look at the yin-yang symbol, the yang, the masculine, is representative of the sun, father sun. So it's light and it's bright and it's represented by white. The feminine, represented by the space that the moon takes up, the darkness, is represented by black. And what that holds for us is the unknown, things that we cannot see, mysteries of the universe that maybe once in a while there's one dot, one speck of knowing, of things that we can, like, aha, come to understand. But in our whole lifetime, we won't be able to answer every question. And when we recognize that, when we use that to our advantage of like, we're not going to be able to know everything about this project or the outcome before we step into that space where we have power and influence. When we recognize that that is a good thing, to have faith and believe that feeling with our gut that something we can't put on paper or we can't, put our fingers on is better than what appears to be good, but might be too good to be true, that kind of shit. That's where intuition comes into play. We've been trained to ignore that space, so I can understand why it might feel hard for you in the moment to feel a feeling and just go, I don't know, I have a feeling about this and I don't know how to back it up, but I just have a feeling, I have a bad feeling about this, or I have a good feeling about this. And you just can't describe it or explain it, but you explain it away because we've been conditioned and trained to say, if you don't have any proof, then it doesn't exist or it's not valid. You try to validate everything with, evidence and some kind of physical thing that you can touch or see or smell or taste that holds that truth right in your face. We've been conditioned to believe that that is the way to go about things, and that's how to really summon the best kind of leadership so that all involved have the best chance at creating harmony and developing the highest potential version of what everybody collectively sees in their mind as the best possible outcome. And yet the best possible outcome cannot be rendered by us alone, by people alone, because we're not in control of everything. We're not in charge of everything. Shit happens. Success happens. Scary stuff happens. Enlightening stuff happens. Shit happens. Anything is possible when you recognize that we're not creating by ourselves. We're not leading from a place of, it's my needs first. We, especially as women, are leading from behind. We're servant leaders who are trying to make sure that we include all and feel into the needs, like I said before, into the needs and the energies of all who are involved and get something out of it and create something out of it bigger than you could even imagine or write up in a pro-con list. There's so much shit that you can pro-con out, but once you're actually there and the outcome has been created, you're like, this is better. This is better than I could have imagined. This is better than what I could have drawn up on paper. And that is one of the advantages that women have in positions of leadership and positions of power and authority. I know when I grew up watching my mom be in positions of power and be the Girl Scout leader for my troop and for my little sister's troop, I got to watch her make intuitive decisions that not only take into account, all of the circumstances, but also take into account the feeling of like, I don't know, I think that weekend is going to be a bad weekend. I can just tell, I just know we're going to move it to the next weekend. Or we need to bring this thing on a camping trip, and I don't know why yet. And once we get there, it turns out that my mom just intuitively knew that a group of girls was going to need X, Y, or Z that she didn't think we needed on the trip, but she brought it anyway because she intuitively felt the needs of the many. That's that shit. That's that good shit. That's that good leader shit. leadership shit that empowers us to become more together than we ever could as individuals trying to one-up each other or, level up by ourselves. With the influence of the universe helping guide us into the right path, with the cycles that we naturally attune to, with the support and the love of our community and our sisterhood, we have everything we need to be better leaders than those who we have tricked ourselves into believing is what authority and what true influence and true power and true effectiveness looks like. I'm talking that real shit right now. And that's why I'm creating this membership for women who identify with being led by spirituality, being led by the universe, creating with the universe, creating through the laws of attraction, understanding more about your intuition, feeling like you're doing everything that is in your power to, possess while you are on your path, while you are in your place of purpose. I'm creating a space for that. Creating a space for us to really tap into our community needs and level upmanship with each other, level up's womanship with each other, as well as connecting to our cycles through talking about the actual moon cycles, talking about our actual physical menstruation and ovulation cycles and how women develop better intuition once we start tracking those things, as well as developing our intuition and even understanding signs and symbols that come to you and you're like, why am I seeing this all the time? I'm seeing rainbows, or I'm seeing butterflies, or I'm seeing the number 7, or I'm seeing all of these weird things that, I would really love to know what it all means. If you believe that it means something, and you believe everything happens for a reason, this space is for you. You are who this space is created for, and I invite you into this space. It's for folks who feel that they are on their magical path. It's for women who are developing themselves as high priestesses, people with uteruses, as well as people who identify as female or identify with the divine feminine, who want to connect more with those things and want to connect more with their community, with their cycles, with their intuition and their instincts, their gut instincts, so they can become stronger and better in every area of life. This space is created for you. I hope that as you continue on your journey, you check out the 2 tiers that are specifically going to liberate you from all of those limiting beliefs where you keep yourself from using your advantages, as well as it's going to have the top tier in this membership. So there are 2 top tiers. There's the priestess tier, which is for women who, like I said, want that community, want to tap into their instincts, as well as the cycles. And there's a second tier for high priestesses who understand that maybe you can't call yourself a high priestess yet. Maybe you don't feel like you're there yet, because I know that I don't feel like I'm totally there yet. But I know that I identify with leadership and with my magical, intuitive abilities and powers. And that is a space for trainings on specifically how to harness those powers, what spell work and spell casting looks like, as well as, like I said, symbology, figuring out what symbols mean in card readings or in the world around you in nature. There are so many different aspects to connecting more to yourself and your spirit that we're going to be just like completely diving deeply into in these two spaces. And if you're here as a supporter, I love you, and I'm so excited for you to be here and for you to be getting the benefits of things like this video, things like my IGTV that I'm going to be posting more of, and creating spaces like this for us to talk about our advantages and talk about how we can continue growing and continue transforming into the beautiful, ideal woman that we see in our mind's eye and that we know and we believe is possible for us to create. We just need support. We just need support and love and compassion and community while we're getting there. And that's what this space is for. So I'm so excited that you're here. And if you're ready to level the fuck up and become a part of our Moonifesting gatherings, as well as our Galentine's Day gatherings, where every 14th of the month we're going to get together online, and then once a year we're going to get together in person. I'm really excited about that part. We're going to get together online and really take care of ourselves and continue developing this beautiful community and these, sisterhood spaces. If you are ready to get into those spaces and you are feeling like you need resources, consistent resources, so you can continue molding yourself and your spaces that you create as a leader into spaces where other leaders get to flourish and other people get to find their paths and their purpose. Come join me. You are welcome in this space. You are loved in this space, and you're deserving of all the love you desire. You know that's my ending line. If you watched my videos, you know that's my ending cue. So I'm going to leave y'all here with a sigh of relief that I got to finally express all of these cool things that I've recognized and developed within myself to you and with you. And I hope that they move through you and they start to really generate energy as you recognize how community and how cycles and how connecting to your intuition really shifts things on an impactful level that you could not possibly achieve without awareness of those things. I love you. Hope you have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your day. And like I said, you're deserving of all the love you desire. Affirm it.